Right now, you could be doing the one motion or exercise which could completely eliminate your buttock or piriformis pain, but you would never know because you're mixing it with so many other things which could be canceling that out or keeping you from healing. In this video, I'm going to share with you the exercise pairs that I would never mix together, why I wouldn't mix them together, and I'm going to show you a process that I've taught to thousands of people dealing with back, butt, and sciatic problems all around the world, such that you can find the one motion that is not only safe, but immediately effective for you. All right, so here's the first exercise pair that I would never recommend that you mix together because they are completely opposite with regards to what they're attempting to do to the area that you're trying to target. So therefore, they're going to cancel one another out. If one is potentially helpful for you, the other one's going to keep that thing from working. So it will be a figure 4 stretch and a figure 4 strengthen. Let me show you. So the figure 4 stretch, pretty much everybody with buttock pain knows this because everybody on YouTube is telling you to do it. I'm telling you you could, but probably not. I'll show you how to test it later to prove if it's going to help you out. But this is what it looks like. So you take the painful leg and you pull it up towards the opposite shoulder until you feel stretch in your buttock. Or sometimes people will tell you to reach your hands through, pull up until you again feel stretch in the buttock. You do holds or whatever they tell you to do. Now, stretching, in essence, if we really kind of reduce it to its most basic understanding, is really just lengthening. So it's taking 2 points, point A and point B, and it's pulling it further apart. We could define stretching, therefore, as lengthening. But then we go ahead and we often pair it or mix it with strengthening. So then what do we have people do? Well, hey, we're going to not only stretch or lengthen that area, but we're also going to strengthen it because we want to increase the strength of that area. So then we have people do the clamshell, which I just term as figure 4 strength. So picture you're laying such that your feet, your butt, and your back are on a wall, so everything is in a line. You put your hand here, and you're just doing something like this. You're just opening up. Sometimes you do it with a resistance band if it's too easy, just above the knees. A lot of times people will do reps, sometimes holds. It doesn't really matter. But why wouldn't I mix these? Well, the figure 4 lengthens, figure 4 stretch, lengthens this tissue. But then what does the figure 4 strength do? The figure 4 strength brings it closer together. So you're actually doing two different things at the most fundamental level of the muscle, such that when you're lengthening, you're pulling muscle fibers and the elements within it further apart. But when you're contracting or squeezing something, going for strength, you're actually bringing these elements closer together. So which is it? Do you need more length or do you need more strength? And again, if you mix these things together, it's almost like mixing black and white such that you're confused why you've gotten gray. So you're going to want to test these things out, and I'll show you the exact process to determine if either one of those are going to be best for you. Now, the second exercise pair that I would almost never recommend mixing together would be core stretching with core strengthening. Notice stretching to lengthen. What's the opposite of to lengthen? To shorten, and you're mixing opposites again. So it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense if someone's having you do both the press up and, for example, a plank or some type of core strengthening exercise. So if we first look at core lengthening or stretching, this is a very classic exercise that people with piriformis pain might perform. And you can see that if we go by the idea of stretching as lengthening, pulling 2 points further apart, you can see that I'm lengthening my abdominal wall. I'm lengthening the front side of my body, and I'm shortening the back side of my body. But then the very next thing that they might have you do is they might have you, well, don't lengthen the front side of your body. We don't need more motion. We actually need more stability. And so they might have you doing things like dead bugs. They might have you doing things like, I think these are called like alligators or things like this, where you're contracting your belly and creating more rigidity, crocodile crawls, different types of funky stuff, or planks. So you've seen things like this. And so on one hand, the planks or the strengthening contraction is trying to create stability in that region, in the front side of your belly. On the other hand, the press-ups are creating less stability on the front side of your body and increasing the mobility of your abdominal area. And so which is it? What's the problem? And what are we really trying to target here? You do one with the other, and then you wonder why nothing's working. Now, the third pair of exercises that I would rarely ever mix together would be a nerve floss. nerve floss. Again, there's 1,000,001 ways to do it, and they call it different things, so it makes it appear as though you're doing different stuff, but you're all doing the same thing, would be something like this, where you go on up, and you're stretching or gliding the nerve in the back of the leg. And then, often in the same program, they'll say, okay, we're going to go from nerve glides to, if you flip through your sheet of exercises, to a glute bridge. So they're having you do nerve glides, followed by or in conjunction with glute bridges. But again, they're sort of opposites. On one hand, they're saying, well, we think your nerve is the problem, so we're going to have you glide that. Then with the glute bridges, they're saying, well, now it's not a nerve mobility problem, it's a glute stability problem. So now we're addressing multiple hypotheses at once. Nobody knows what the heck they're doing. And also, they're lengthening the backside of the body. But then in this, they're shortening. They're bringing it together. You can see my hamstring there. So you can see how these exercise pairs are functioning on complete opposite ends of the spectrum. You have stretching and strengthening, lengthening and shortening. Which is it? You have competing hypotheses. Do we need more stability? And of what? Of the glutes? Of the core? If you're doing core exercises like planks, like dead bugs, well, is the problem that you need more stability of your core? Well, then why are you doing glute bridge exercises, which are said to increase the strength of your glutes, or even clamshells? Is it a glute stability problem? Is it a core stability problem? Is it a nerve mobility problem? Do you need more length in the front of your belly? Do you need more stability, less length on the front of your body? Do you need more length in your piriformis? Or do you need more shortening of your piriformis? What are we doing here? You see how you wonder why you're confused when you go to PT and you can't figure out what's working and what's not working. Doing everything equals not doing any one thing. And if you're mixing these exercises together, it's possible you could be doing the one thing which would help you out, but you would never know because you're mixing them all together. Now what I want you to do is I want you to follow a process that I've taught to thousands of people who have these issues, such that you're scientifically teasing these things out. And instead of doing a sheet of exercise, I'm going to show you how to test out each of these to figure out and know right now today watching this video if they're safe, if the motion is not going to hurt you, if it's a safe motion for you, and if it is immediately something that is going to work. And all we have right now is immediately in the moment. And so if you're being told, well, we're going to do core strengthening, or we're going to do press-ups and give it a few weeks to see what happens, well, they're just hoping and praying. Because if you don't see an immediate change right now, then what evidence do you have to believe that something will work in the future? And the answer would be you have none. So I'd rather prove to you that something works right now and go based off the fact that it works now in the moment, such that we believe it could potentially work in the future, versus us just hoping and praying that something that doesn't work now will eventually work one day sometime in the future. Hopefully that makes sense. Follow step by step to figure out which of these exercises, if any, are going to help you so that you're not wasting your time, energy, and your money. So the first thing we want to do is translate your medical diagnosis into a movement diagnosis, something you can better see, feel, and understand, something that is immediately testable and retestable to see if we can improve it. So in the case of piriformis and/or deep gluteal syndrome, deep glute pain, one will almost always find that a figure 4 motion is painful and problematic. Now, if the figure 4 is not yucky, find any other motion which is painful and insert it into this test and this retest area. So we find that, all right, yes, I might have piriformis syndrome, but how that thing shows up for me is in my inability to perform a figure 4 motion. It hurts when I do this. Awesome. Now what we're going to do is we're going to treat, but we're not going to throw an entire sheet of exercises at you. And we're certainly not going to mix all these different things together, hoping that it eventually works and expecting to be able to figure out what is actually going to help us. So instead, we're going to treat each of these things as independent medicines, as independent pills, if you will, or inputs. And we're going to test each of them out such that we can identify what's going to be best, or maybe all of them are going to be a waste of time. We don't know until we plug it in. Follow along with me. But this is the model. We test something that's yucky, a figure 4 motion or whatever motion is painful or problematic for you and reproduces your buttock pain. Then you're going to treat it, not doing all of these things, but doing one thing at any given time. And then I want to see you immediately retest that thing which was painful or problematic to see if it's better, which it tells you if it's better now, it has the potential to make you better in the future. You'd be done. That's it. You only need the one motion as medicine. If same, we're going to move on, because if something doesn't work now, I have no evidence to believe that it'll work somehow, some way in the future. And if worse, clearly we're going to stop, because if you're doing something which makes you worse and you're repeating that over and over and over again, you're probably going to feel worse. Hopefully that makes sense. And once we do find something that makes us feel better, we can bottle it up as if you would bottle up a medication. And we can apply it at a certain prescription, a certain dose, how much we do it, a certain frequency, how often we do it, and at a given time that makes the most sense for the pain that we're experiencing. And again, the goal here is to find one safe, pain-free exercise that immediately improves your yucky motion and makes you feel better. So let's dive into it. We've got all these different options that we've talked about. Maybe one of these will help us out. Maybe all of them are a waste of time. Here's how you figure it out. You plug it into this process. So what we want to do, let's take the figure 4 stretch as the first test, if you will. We test a yucky motion, in this case of figure 4, if that's painful for you. It is for most people with Piriformis Syndrome. If it's not, again, replace it with your painful motion. Do it once, get an idea of what it feels like. Then you are going to treat. Immediately go ahead and perform the figure 4 stretch 3 times 30-second holds, or whatever you were prescribed, however you were told to do it. And then after doing that, I want you to immediately retest to see if your painful, problematic motion is now immediately better, same, or worse. And then we're just going to follow some basic logic. Again, if it's better, we're going to be done, and we can use that as medicine. If we're the same, we're going to go to the next test, and so on and so forth. If we're worse, we're going to stop and, again, move on throughout this process. If better, we take that motion, which has been proven to help, and, again, we bottle it up. So if the figure 4 stretch proved to immediately make your yucky motion better and it was pain-free, then you've got all the signs that you need to support the idea that it could be the one motion which resolves your problem. But we won't know until we test more of it. So you bottle it up, you do 3 30-second holds 3 times a day as needed, and you would do this for the next 4 to 7 days. And then you would come back and you would say, are things overall moving in the better direction? Is there a better trend? Am I still the same, and or am I worse? And one way you can be objective about this is if you record how yucky this figure 4 is today, or your yucky motion is today, on a scale of 0 to 10 or 0 to 100, where low is a 10, 20, 30, medium is a 40, 50, 60, and high is a 70, 80, 90. Let's just say you do this figure 4 today and it's a 30 out of 100 or a 3 out of 10 pain-wise. Well, then in a week, if you come back to it, after doing just this one motion and only this motion, thinking of movement as medicine, and now the figure 4 is a 10 out of 100, you don't add any other motions. If you had a medicine which was making you feel better week to week, you wouldn't go to your primary care doctor and say, hey, can I have a new medicine? It's not working. You would say, I'm going to keep doing it because it is working. So never do more and or take more medicine than needed. Take as much as needed, as little as necessary. So test, treat, retest, same, better, worse, follow the logic. Now, let's just say that figure 4 stretch, lengthening, didn't work. Well, what's the opposite of didn't work? Did work, or the potential to work. All right, so now we're going to go into figure 4 strength. And there's many ways to strengthen the buttock muscles, but a clamshell is one common one. And here's the deal. I didn't mention this when I talked about the mixing of pairs and sort of why they cancel each other out, but each of these exercises is potentially 2 in 1 or more, because you have a left and a right side. And so there's this common belief system that if I have a pain in my butt on the right side, well, I need to strengthen that right side. But why not maybe just strengthen the left side? Who said you had to do it on both sides? So if your concern is that you're going to walk around in circles because you strengthen only one side of your butt cheek, or you're going to have one butt that is bigger than the other, forget about it. It's not true. We see almost no correlation between strength and pain, and so it's quite possible, yeah, you might need to strengthen the painful side, but don't neglect the possibility you might need to actually just unload it and strengthen the other side. So start to think outside the box and break some belief systems around what you've been told and what you potentially believe right now. So I don't care what side your symptoms are in, left or right. Go ahead, lay on the right side and perform the clamshell on the left. I would recommend you try holds, but you could do reps. I don't really care that much. Actually, I lied. We're going to start with holds. That's always what I start with, but reps might work too. You're going to test the figure 4 on the painful side. You're going to treat using the figure 4 strength motion, 3 holds until you're tired. Then you're going to retest that painful motion to see same, better, or worse. And if better, you're going to do 3 holds until you're tired of that figure 4 strength on the left 2 times a day as needed. Do not just do it on the right because you think that you need to do it on both sides. The left has been proven to work because you just tested it. Now, let's just say that it didn't work. So it's same or made you worse. Go ahead and perform the figure 4 strength on the right side. Test the motion. You know what your baseline is. Do it 3 holds until you're tired. Retest, same, better, worse. Again, if it's better, 3 holds until you're tired, just on that painful side, twice a day as needed for the next 4 to 7 days, and then come back and see same, better, worse. Keep this simple. You bottle up that motion and you use it as medicine. Let's just say now these stretching, so lengthening and shortening don't work. That's okay. There's many other options. So press-ups, a very classic disc or piriformis exercise, which tells you what? People aren't really sure if it's the back or if it's actually the piriformis, so people just treat all kinds of things. Regardless, do the figure 4, do your yucky motion 1 time, do the press-up, 2 sets of 10 reps. Again, this should be pain-free. Ideally, any motion that you're going to take home with you and use as medicine is pain-free, such that we're not multiplying yuckiness over and over again. Do the press-up, 2 times 10 reps, immediately retest. If better, done. Same or worse, we're going to move on to the next one. I would recommend that if this does make you better, you would do 1 set of 10 reps of press-ups 4 times a day for a total of 40 reps a day as needed. Maybe the stretching of the core doesn't work, but the strengthening will. So let's pick an exercise. Again, there's many exercises, but you get the concept. We test, we treat, 3 holds till tired, we retest, better, same, or worse. If better, here's the recommended prescription, 3 holds till you're tired, twice a day as needed. Now let's move on to the final exercise pair. Should we be lengthening our hamstrings? Is it a nerve motion problem or is it a glute stability problem and we need less motion and more shortening of that tissue? It's a good question. Let's problem solve for it. Go ahead, test your yucky motion. You can see how this gets redundant. Once you understand the process, you could insert any motion into this to determine if it's going to be helpful for you in your piriformis syndrome or your deep glute pain. Test the motion, get a baseline, how yucky is it, treat using the nerve glide as you've been instructed, retest, if better, done, if same or worse, we move on to the final motion. If better, 2 times 15 reps of these nerve glides 3 times a day. And finally, maybe we don't need nerve motion, maybe it's not a nerve problem at all, and we do need to maybe increase our motion in the backwards direction or increase how well our glutes are working, so to speak. Well, we go ahead and we do the figure 4 again. How does it feel? We do a bridge, 3 holds until tired. I recommend more holds, prolonged holds versus just a bunch of reps. You really want to feel it to take a big sort of chunk of that medicine, so to speak. Retest, same, better, worse. The same logic applies. If this is helpful, we do 3 holds till we're tired, twice a day as needed. And hopefully you went through this and you're getting the idea. It sounds very redundant. I did that for a reason. So you can see that no matter the exercise that you've been told to do, you could add any exercise that you've been trying otherwise to this list of things. And you can one by one go through these things to prove immediately in the moment if it's safe and if it's going to work for you. So rather than giving you the top 5 stretches for piriformis syndrome, which you will so often see, you need the logic. You need to understand why you're doing what you're doing, and you need to have a framework for figuring out if it's right for you. Because what works for maybe one person who's watching a video on YouTube might make you worse, and I'd hate to see that happen. So this exercise should be pain-free and immediately effective. Now, if you're interested in learning more ways that you can naturally resolve your piriformis or buttock pain in a totally systematic, scientific versus chaotic and random way, go ahead and check out my other videos on this topic. And let me know, too, in the comments, when you went through this test, treat, retest process, did you find any of these motions which were valuable immediately in the moment and were safe for you to perform? Or did you not? Thanks so much. Chat soon.